You're listening to Brazen Bookworm's Unrighteous Reading Rebellion, a reformed book snob's journey and musings through all things romance. Some language may not be safe for all ears. Frequent use of sarcasm may occur. Hey! Uh-oh, hold on. Are we muted? Okay, wait. Let's try again. Can y'all hear us?
Yes.
Yay! All right, that's a plus.
Oh, now I
There we
can
go.
hear. All right, perfect.
Sweet. Okay, I'm just trying to
What
like
are
adjust
you
all the
eating?
things. Ooh, what do you got?
What?
Greek yogurt popsicle.
Ooh. Okay.
I was craving something sweet really bad.
I get that. I understand. Are you back? Are you still in New York or are you back home?
Oh, I'm back home.
Okay.
Yeah, I came back yesterday. And I'll be honest with you, I've been sick as a dog. So if I sound terrible, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, of course.
Wow. So welcome back from New York. And welcome to the madness, to the chaos, to the little bit of out of control in our crazy. But thank you guys both for coming on. This was something that we've been trying to put in the works for a bit, and I'm really excited. So so we're gonna do this is normally when I do the podcast, it's all audio. And what we decided with this, talking with Katherine and Julie and I chatting together, we're like, wait a minute, Julie and I are going to be in the same space. And we have a fucking cover model. So I'm like, we got to do video. And sorry, I have no
Absolutely.
filter, and the podcast
I don't have one either.
Not safe for work. So the recording, the video is going to go on Facebook, and then the podcast will just be audio, but it'll have a link to the recording on Facebook and the website and all the fun stuff. So yeah, so thank you for being here. I have to tell you, because we're not in Maryland. Do I have to tell him that it's being recorded? I'm going to tell you that this is being recorded.
I'm used to being recorded all the time.
There we go. Perfect.
I'm wearing one of these things at work, a little body camera. It's always recording.
I get that. So,
at least here I can be a little more candid than what I am at work. So
we're up for that. We're definitely up for candid, and please don't feel like you have to filter or modify what you say, because I put the warning on there, and if people don't listen to it and they get offended, then that's their freaking problem, not mine.
Yeah,
I
have to have enough filter at work. I try not to have one in any other part of my life.
I get that too, because in the other part of my life, I have to have a very strong filter. And when I leave that space, the filter's like, see ya. So I'm Michelle. Sorry. So go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
I'm Dan. No, go ahead.
And so I'm Michelle. This is Julie and Katherine.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Hi, Dan.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I've been better, but we're gonna get through this. We're gonna be good.
We're gonna get through this. And I want to respect your time, and for both of you for coming on. So just do a quick intro, just so people know a little bit about who you are, what you do. And then we've got some questions we wanted to ask you. And if we go off script, people who listen to me often know that the brain squirrels are, they're in control.
And they run wild.
The brain squirrels run wild, but we will try to, that's why Julie's here. She reins me in, and we'll try to keep it all on track. But
I need a Julie in my life.
Seriously, we all need a Julie. So Dan, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
I'm Dan. I'm a cover model and a cop by night, cover model by day. I'm 32, father of 2 little girls, and yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. And Katherine?
I am Katherine L Evans, and I identify as Klee, the notorious KLE, and I write books that make you cry.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, you do.
I was on a train headed to DC, and I had tears flowing down my face from your book. It was I took a picture and sent it to you. I'm like, what are you doing to me?
Yes, I always tell people when I recommend your books and I put reviews up, I'm like, this one has a tissue warning. And I elaborate whether it's like, the little pocket-sized tissues that you can bring or to the Costco-sized box. So you are a Costco-sized box rated book of tissues.
And I'm telling you, whoever said like no tears for the writer, no tears, like trust me, if you ever watched Romancing the Stone, that from the 80s, and she's like sobbing at her laptop, that's me.
That's good though. I like that you get that far into your books that you create an emotional connection with it, because if you're not emotionally connected, then chances are your readers aren't going to be either.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so questions, because like I said, I want to respect everybody's time. So Dan, tell us a little bit about how long have you been a cover model? How long have you been doing this?
I've been a cover model for just over 5 years now. I got started after a viral picture of me happened, and a photographer reached out to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I was like, I mean, I don't think that I'm qualified, but sure, I'll give it a shot. And it kind of took a life of its own. I've been doing it on and off for 5 years now. It's been a good time.
Are we allowed to ask which photographer?
Oh yeah, sorry. It was Christopher John. Sorry.
Okay. And I love him. In fact, we'll see him this weekend.
That's right. Is he at Shameless?
Yes, he'll be at Shameless.
Yes.
So we will be seeing him.
Yeah, it's right around the corner for him.
That's right. Yep, he's a Florida one also. Yeah, we're in Orlando this week for Shameless this weekend. And that's right. He's going to be one of the ones we get to see. So what? Okay, tell us. I didn't put this in question. What was the picture? Talk to us about the picture. How did that get you in the industry?
So there was this picture. It was I was labeled. Me and two other guys were labeled as the hot cops, and I'm like, it was a viral picture. I remember. It was nuts. It was after a hurricane. Like, it was millions and millions of views all over the world. We were on the news. Like,
I saw that photo.
Yeah, it was nuts. If you Google, I had a friend, he was looking at something the other day and he Googled sexy cops, and that picture came up. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, it's been over 5 years. It was September of 2017, like, golly. And it's still out there. So
well, some things make an impact, and obviously it was a good impact for you if he reached out to you for that. Did you catch flack for it though?
Oh, of course. I mean, I work in a profession with a bunch of alpha people, alpha males, alpha females. Of course, I get hell on a regular basis still.
They're just jealous.
Haters want to hate is kind of how I look at it. Don't hate me because you hate me. It's one of my favorite things to say to people I work with. They're like, listen, bro, just because all you can do is drive a patrol car and drive fast doesn't mean that we can't. Some of us can't have other side hustles. So
I like that you put it that way, that it's kind of that side hustle, which was interesting because when you introduced yourself, you said you're a cover model by day, but then a cop by night, right?
Yeah. I've worked night shift for 10 years.
Wow. That's okay. So I'm going to skip a little bit in what I had. So what are you doing when you're not in front of the camera? What else? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do when you're not taking pictures.
I mean, lately over the past few months, my life's really been working out and being dad. That's really kind of what it boils down to for me. Lately I've been really committing a lot of time to my body and taking care of my body. I want to live forever. So I've been eating super clean, working out a lot. I watch a lot of football. I spend a lot of time with my kids. We do all kinds of fun stuff together. We're getting ready to go on a trip to Washington, D.C. here coming up in December. So, that's me. I'm just a regular guy whenever I'm not being, model Dan, just doing regular stuff.
Dad Dan.
Yeah. Dad Dan when you're not model Dan. I like it.
Or Daddy Dan works too.
Okay, there's the filter. That's a totally different connotation.
Sorry, I couldn't help but go there. I got no filter. I told you.
Okay, so you're welcome to go there, especially on this podcast. That is something that is not a not going to be a problem.
It's interesting. In one of the groups I run, we were talking about how you have been working out, because I mean, obviously your body is looking mighty fine. And I was wondering, was there a reason? And so I told them, I'm like, I'll find out. And you gave me the answer.
So, I don't know if you guys know this, but I used to be 340 pounds.
I did. I know this.
I was a big man. So for me, number one, I want to live forever. There's a lot of police officers die. The average police officer's lifespan is 57. I was supposed to retire at 52. Therefore, I had only 5 years of enjoying my retirement. I want the city of Gainesville to pay me until I'm like 157 if I can make it possible. So that's part of it. Part number two is I've never had a six pack. This is the first time in my life in 32 years that I felt comfortable taking pictures with my shirt off. I think up until recently, the only picture I have on my Instagram without a shirt on was a photo shoot I did with Golden. And I didn't look like I do now, I don't feel like. And that was 4 or 5 years ago. So it's really been, lately I've been trying to step out of my comfort zone and do more, do more to make myself feel better about myself so I can do the things that I should be able to do. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I've really been pushing myself to step out of my comfort zone in all facets of life. So doing pictures with no shirt, like I just do it because I just want to be, I want to be that guy that people can look at and be like, if he can do it, I can do it. It's powerful. That's the big thing for me. So I've just really been pushing hard because like I want to be more than just a regular dude, more than just a cop, more than just a model. I want to be able to inspire people to be more than what they are. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because like I said, I used to be 340 pounds. I've worked my ass off, to get to where I'm at and be comfortable posting pictures with no shirt on and whatnot.
You have a goal I love that when you set a goal and you're like, I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing this so other people can look at where I've come from and say, like you said, if he can do it, I can do it. Because I think a lot of people do, we're in an industry where image is very, very important. And there's a lot of push to conform to an image. And a lot of people are like, I can never do that because X, Y, Z. But when you see somebody who's done it, it's way different than just somebody who's been, fit all their lives and has never had an issue. And you're like, well, they've never had a problem. So if I have a problem, how do I overcome that? So having someone you can watch to say, I've been there and I've done it and you can do it too. I love that inspirational element of it. And like you said, you're a dad, you're a full-time law enforcement, you're modeling, you're doing all these things. So you're busy. It's not like you just have all day long to spend at the gym and pay attention to what you're doing. You have a life.
So I've spent all afternoon meal prepping, and it's Tuesday because my week was all messed up in New York. Like I've been meal prepping all afternoon, and it's you just find the time to do the things that you want to do or what's important to you. I read most of my reading is like inspirational stuff and leadership stuff, and it's what's important now. And now this is what's important to me, and I will find ways to make it happen. I'll do whatever it takes. I skip out on sleep. I only sleep 4 or 5 hours a day. Probably not the best thing in the world, but I do what I got to do to make sure I reach the goals that I want to reach. So,
yeah, sleep is overrated sometimes.
What inspirational
I'll sleep when
book?
I'm dead.
Great. Yeah. I've heard that. I've said that.
Yeah.
Which inspirational book do you feel has made the most impact? Maybe I need to read it.
Right.
Ooh, my favorite book right now. I did the audiobook, and I don't normally do audiobooks. Is David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. If you ever watch anything with David Goggins, that man is a monster. He's like, you're gonna have to kill me before I quit. Like That's what it boiled down to for him. He's like, I'm just gonna go do it, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I'm gonna go, and I won't quit until I die. I've been sick. I got on the treadmill for 30 minutes with a hoodie on and just going. I went and did legs this morning, even though I've been sick. I was like, I got to do it. It's to the point now where like, if I don't, there's something like it messes me up in my head. So like, I really have to push myself. Like, I'm like, I got to go. Like, it is what it is. But David Goggins' audiobook Can't Hurt Me is great because his buddy who helps him write the book narrates it, and then in between each chapter they talk about it. So it's almost like a podcast, and like they give a little more insight into the book. But it's a fantastic book.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking that one up because I'm always looking for other things. You know, there's always things that somebody will say, oh, it'll trigger something in my mind. I'm like, okay, let me find it. But again, it's always nice to know what's worked for someone else before you go and grab it. So you're like, okay, this was successful for someone, so maybe it'll be successful for me.
And then anything Eric Thomas does, I love listening to him too. He's fantastic.
Say that name again.
Eric Thomas. He's fantastic.
Eric Thomas. Okay.
I used to ride around in my patrol car and listen to him on YouTube every night, all night.
Okay. Yeah, I'm new to audiobooks, relatively new to audiobooks, not like self-help, but other audiobooks that I have to not listen to when my kids are in the car and make sure my windows are up at the traffic light, because otherwise I get some really interesting looks. Not that I care, I'll just offer them, you know, if you want to listen, this is what it's called. But yeah, I should look into some other audiobooks too. So how has being a cover model affected your life, like work life, personally? How is it? You said it's recent, it's 5 years. So how has that affected what you do?
I mean, really not a whole lot. I have to burn some time to go and do stuff. I mean, I have to, you know, take off of work sometimes to go to, like when I went to TNT, I had to take off like 2 nights to work to be able to go. So really, that's really about it. The fitness part I'd be doing regardless. So really, it's just, you know, prioritizing and changing my time around. It's, you know, and you know, fitting modeling and stuff in where I wanted to. It's not like I get recognized walking around Walmart for being on the cover model. Sorry.
I don't understand that at all. I don't. So, they're not reading the right books.
Yeah, right. That's how I think about it. I'm like, how do you not know me? I've read so many books. You should recognize me, shouldn't you? No.
Question. How many book covers are you on?
I don't know the exact number.
Okay.
It's a lot though. It's quite a few. Went on like a rampage for like 2 or 3 years, just fucking churning out books. So it's been quite a few. I don't know the exact number though.
Do you have a favorite cover?
No, other than the first one. The first one was pretty awesome.
Okay. Always remember
the first
your first
one was
cover.
cool because like the first one was, wait, what'd you say?
So you always remember your first cover?
Yeah, exactly. It's like your first like I'll never forget it, because like I was like, wow. It was like 2 weeks after my first photo shoot that first cover came out, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is real. Like I'm actually doing something like with this. Like it's more than just I'm on a book. Like I have the book in my hand. I was like, this is freaking cool. So
I love that.
Do you display it on the shelf behind you?
You have to have a pride shelf. Yes, yeah. We all need that, like that pride shelf. Is there a certain look that you like to work with better than others? A certain style, certain type, certain look?
I personally like shooting with somebody else. Is that what you mean? Like I like doing couples.
Okay.
Just because for me, it's more of the energy in the room. Like you can feed off of each other, and like especially if you really vibe with somebody. Like there's one girl that I shot with, and with Jean. Her name is Emily. Like me and her vibed. It was such a good time. We had a blast shooting together, and like we just really got along, and like there's chemistry there. Not like in a weird sexual inappropriate way. Like we just vibed, and like we did good together. And you know, when you have stuff like that, that to me is when shooting's the most fun. When you're shooting by yourself, like I can do that, and I feel like I do that well. It's just you're not feeding off of somebody like that. So like you're really counting on, for me, like I count on like the photographer. Like Golden's really good about feeding your ego, you know, and Jean's really good about it too. And so is Chris. Like they're all really good. But like I've shot with somebody before. I was like, this is a drain. Like this is just killing me. So yeah, I totally went on a sidetrack. Sorry, I scrolled there for a minute.
That's the story of my life. The squirrels are in good company, so you're all good. Jean, what does she do? Is that Tyler and Ian?
Well, the first one was.
So I know what my favorite covers are.
The first one was Golden, and the last two I think were Jean.
With Jean, yeah. So I'm trying to remember if that's like even the first cover that I saw Dan on was April Wilson's
Somebody to Love.
Somebody to Love, which is, and then it's somebody to love, somebody to hold, and someone to cherish. Yes. So there's three of them. And they're really impactful. Just really expressive, which is what I like in a cover. And then of course, Katherine put when I discovered Katherine, because I would bring her in now. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Dan. That cover, I know who that is.
I know that guy.
Cover, right? I love that cover. And that book was like, oh my God, okay. There's the fangirl.
She does a really good job of like setting the tone. Sometimes she's like, "This is what I want. This is where you're at. And this is what you're feeling." I'm like, "All right." I was like, "I can get here." I was like, "I can follow this." I was like, "Yes, ma'am. Whatever you want, I got you."
People who are coachable, people who take direction, people who can be taught, people who can be guided. That's.
Well, I feel like to be a good model, that's important. Like you have to be able to be coachable because these photographers are like, "This is what I want you to do," and you have to be able to do it and kind of get into that headspace and like it's not acting or anything, but like you still have to get in that headspace and that mood and that zone. And if you can't, then you just don't. I've shot with somebody once. It was another female, and like I was like, man, this is terrible. Like she was just so uncomfortable and tight, and she could not like relax and get in the headspace, and it's tough. So I make it sound like it's a hard job. It's really not, but it's not easy either.
Well, everything you do has elements of comfort, out of the comfort zone. Some things are going to be more difficult than other things. I mean, any job worth doing isn't going to be super easy. But I think you said the best covers come when there's good chemistry, and whether the chemistry is between you and another model or you and the photographer, it's going to come through. It comes through the lens, definitely shows up. So Katherine, I know that Brennan's cover is, it's one of my favorites. The book is one of my favorites. And when you're looking as an author to choose cover models and you're looking at covers, why did you settle on Dan? How did that cover come about?
So can you hear me? I don't know if I'm muted or not.
You're good.
You're good. Okay. I have to, so this is the photo. This was the photo, and I had to change this photo for like rebranding, marketing, like unfortunately it can't all be just like my artistic vision, because this was my artistic vision.
Hold it up, let's see.
It's the most like,
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, you haven't?
You have it. This was released in 2018, and this photo, it like, I was like, I had like the first book written, and I was like, okay, well, there's the main guy, the main girl, and the main guy's got this best friend. But it was just like, okay, because we've got to have book 2, and you have to go with the best friend for book 2. But he was just like this sort of shapeless guy that I was like, whatever, like all of these books are based on my ex-boyfriends. I don't know.
Taylor Swift.
Like,
Yes, Debbie said that to her.
You're the T-Swift of romance.
They do call me, someone did say that a couple of years ago. Yeah, they're all based on like either boyfriends or hookups I had in New Orleans, because I lived and worked there, and it's just full of all kinds of sensual energy. Like it just is, because you know, basically live there too.
Yep.
And
so I need to go to New Orleans. Is what
Oh, honey,
dude,
you need to go to New Orleans.
Yes.
Like a month.
You and me are gonna go there one day with all of this stuff.
Yes.
But so anyway, so like it was just like, okay. So this guy that this character is based on, like his name is Josh. He's just a regular guy. And so like that character was just named Josh until I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw this photo, and it was like something was like, there he is. And I was like, there, what, like, what? And so like, I paused and I was like, wow, like, that's an incredible photo. I'm gonna like text the actual like high resolution photo to you, because this doesn't know justice. It's a stunning, like the texture and depth, and it is just like he is young Clark Gable.
Oh yeah,
like,
I have it bookmarked.
just,
So
it is
the original.
It was the most like striking, and like I can't hide the fact that I am just an artsy fartsy, like flowery minded creative, like whatever. I am a crazy artistic person, and just this photo, like that, seeing that photo was the birth of this character. And in that moment, it was like the entire thing just like exploded.
I know, right?
Like, you know, this, it was because of this, because there's this mood in this photo. Like, yes, he's beautiful. Like, yes, you're beautiful. Like, bellissimo, you're wonderful. Like, you're so, but like, there's something like deeper going on this entire set, because Jean, you know, I love, and also like this connected me to Jean, who I love with my whole entire heart.
Yeah,
and
Jean does a phenomenal job.
She's just so special to me, and like I've had so many long conversations with her, and I get to go through like so many of y'all's sets, and just one was just so like the text, it's just gorgeous, and it set this mood, and suddenly like there's this character, and he's just like 4-dimensional, and this entire story arc that goes like on and on and on, and it just like, I didn't know what to do with this series beyond like, well, now it's time to write the best friends book. And then, you know, we're going to throw some brothers in there, and then a brother's best, you know, like it was just like formulaic until I saw this photo, and the explosion of a whole world like happened in this like millisecond moment of like pausing my Instagram scroll. And it was phenomenal. Like, as my artsy fartsy crazy creative brain, you know, it was one of my favorite moments. And that's why I have poured so much effort into like revamping this thing so that it can be its best version. And it's like, I feel like it's one of my most important work. And it's just because this like a photo, a piece of art can like grab your soul.
Yeah. Visuals are really powerful. You know, it's funny because when you were saying that, I'm thinking back to my former teacher days, when I was teaching 9th graders how to write, which if you've ever had to teach a 9th grader how to write, it's not fun or easy or encouraging, but what I found always worked best was visuals. And I think for anybody now, it's like, even when I've worked with adults in teaching writing, you find a visual that you connect with. And if it's a visual that has depth, it tells its own story. But as the writer, it's your job to pull that story from the visual and put it on a page. And when you have a photo or a drawing or a painting that's really powerful, and it pulls out emotion, and it has texture, and it has tone, and it has all these beautiful elements of it, you can pull a whole book from a photo. And because it has all the elements right there. It has that inspirational level to it. So I love the fact that you saw a photo. That makes my teacher heart very happy, that you saw a photo and you were like, I can pull everything I need from
it.
This
was more
visual.
like it was more like I met this person. This was like meeting, I met this character. He suddenly had a name, like a middle name, like a whole background. I was like, oh my Lord, like this, I had never bought an exclusive photo before that one, but I was like, I don't know what I have to do or how much this is going to cost, but I have to own that. And like, if you talk to other authors about like, how do they pick a photo, or like, how do they buy like a pre-made book cover? It's like, sometimes you just see a photo and you're like, that's mine, you know, like that exists for me. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was when I saw this photo. It's what it was when I saw this other photo of you.
Yep.
It's the like, new one. I was like, that's mine too. Yep. Like that one's mine too. for me. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. This stuff is not cheap. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. But, and so, you know, it all just worked out the way it was, because like, I just believe in following your heart when it comes to creating art, because where else does it come from?
And this is something that we've talked about a lot, that I've talked about in the blog, that we've talked about in other podcasts, is how important a cover is. And there's a lot of people, a lot of readers who are like, oh, I don't care about covers because I read on my Kindle. And I'm like, but no, you don't understand. You found that book somehow. And quite often how you find that book is from a visual. It's because somebody put up a picture of the book that they were reading. It's because it came across on an Amazon ad or on a Facebook post or on Instagram. And covers are important. Time and time again, research shows us that covers are important. Even if you read on an e-reader, the cover is important. And every author is always striving for that perfect ideal cover. So when you can find someone, like whether it's a photographer or if it's a cover model or if it's, you know, an image that you're looking for, it makes a difference when it gels with the book. You know, it makes a difference when it has the vibe that you're looking for. So, you know, Dan, you're getting in front of the camera and you're putting on whatever personality, persona, attitude the photographer is telling you to. And I'm guessing sometimes do you ever work with photographers where they're like, we're doing a specific cover for a specific author and this is what they want?
Yes.
How does
and
that
they'll show
usually
like
work?
they'll show like example pictures, like this is kind of what they're looking for, or something like that, or like this is what they want. Can we do this? Can we do that? Stuff like that. Can I roll back for a little bit for a second about what Katherine was talking about? So like I'll be honest with you, like I had no clue how authors picked out their things. I assumed it was like Tinder. It was like nope. Oh, that was a maybe. We'll swipe right. No. And so like that to me, like that means a lot. Like I didn't realize how impactful it was and what it meant and stuff like that. Like that's fantastic to hear, because like it adds that much more meaning to just standing in front of a camera. You know, I put a lot of passion and energy into what I do, and that is that impactful for, you know, you, Katherine. I'm sure you're not the only one. It means more.
It is like, you know, more than just people can be your soulmates, y'all. Okay. Like that photo was my soulmate. That photo was my soulmate. I've got another photo that Jean took on my wall, and this guy is my muse and he is a soulmate. You know, like these photos, like these things, I don't know. I am like a way wildly creative, crazy person, but just, I feel like it's a soul tie through art.
Yep. There's
art
a solid
touches
connection.
the soul, like there's something there. And like whatever energy you were bringing with this, you know, Clark Gable, like swoon was like exactly what this character needed to like be born. And like it fell in my Instagram feed and here we are.
And you know,
it wasn't just a swipe.
It's an interesting as a reader.
It was a double tap and a DM. I was like, please. I bet if you go back to that original post, it's like my comment is probably still there. Like, I don't know what I have to do, but I need to get this photo. I'll mortgage my house.
The photo's important. There's a connection, and it's from a reader perspective. To me, and I know we've had this discussion also, when you make a connection with the character, when the cover is the image of what you're reading, it makes it so much easier because, okay, yes, it's great that it's a written word and you can kind of visualize in your head how you think someone's going to look, but when the personality and the description of what you're reading gels so well with what's on the cover, you can tell that there's a connection there. It just feels more organic and it makes a connection, because there are times, I'll be honest, there are times I'm reading a book and I'm like, that is not what I thought they were going to look like. That's, you know, from the cover. And it does. It's like, if you're telling me that the hero looks like this on the cover and then it's not in the book, I kind of get a little, oh man, I wanted that. That's who I wanted. That's what I wanted to read about. That's what I wanted to see. So making that connection where you can say that the cover matches the character, that the photo has the right energy, that the photo has the right depth, that it represents what you're striving for as an author. And then when you're, like you said, Dan, when you're in front of the camera and they're giving you direction on this is what they want, this is what they're looking for, where all the pieces kind of come together, that's a complete project. I think that's really, really important when you're looking at something like that, that it looks like a complete project, not like you just were like, oh, he's hot, I'm gonna slap him on the cover, and it has nothing to do with what's inside the book.
That's what I always thought it was. I was like, oh, he's a good looking dude. I like that picture. Let's put him on here. That's why I was like, me just, being on the complete other end of it. That's what I always thought. I was like, oh, he's a decent looking dude, and I like the way he looks in this picture. Let me throw that on there.
I'm not gonna lie, there's value in that too, but it's not the be all end all as a reader of what we're looking for as an author. What were you gonna say, Julie?
I just, the pictures that Katherine picked of you specifically, and I've said this in the group, that you have a whole day to yourself every single week for like the last 3 years.
That's
in
right.
one of my groups.
Yes, it's Tyler Tuesday.
It's Tyler Tuesday, and I pull an image from the internet. I always give you credit. I give the photographer credit, but Jean pulls out a different look with you.
She does.
The emotion. It's just, I see what Katherine saw in that picture.
Yep.
It's so
like
important.
when I go to Jean's, when I go shoot with Jean, it's just like she lives like way out in the woods. I've gone and stayed at her house for a couple of days, and like to me, I'm just there. It's like peaceful. It's just a whole different experience. It's an experience, really. Like I've gone and I've stayed at her house for a weekend, twice I think now, 2 or 3 times, and just shot, and just the way she does things, and it's just fantastic. She can draw out something different in me than other people for sure.
That's a connection, and I think that's a unique element that exists between successful photographers, successful models, where there's a connection, where there's a comfort, there's an understanding. I even heard one photographer say when they work with certain models that it's just even eye contact just gives little subtle clues. Like you don't even have to verbalize everything, just like a tilt or moving something, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it, because there's a connection that you forge. And I think that's really cool that you do that, she invites you out, and it creates this comfort, and it sets a scene.
And what's funny is it's like when I'm shooting with her, it's like, all right, like we're there, like it's working, it's different. And then I was just thinking about it, like when I'm shooting with Golden, it's like all I can think of is that song, it's I'm Too Sexy for my shirt. Like that's how I feel like when I'm shooting with Golden. So it's just a different vibe. It's just because they're such different people.
We should do that. I know, right? That's going to be the intro for this one. That song we use it as the intro.
But like that's how I feel when I shoot with Golden. I'm like, I'm a good looking man. Like it's just a different vibe,
And I think those photos come across as different also, because I follow Golden, and I follow Jean, and I follow Chris, and there's a different vibe in each, which I think also gives a lot to the author to say, oh, you're not looking for this, but you like this model. Well, let's, the author can look at someone else and say, well, I'm looking for a different vibe. I'm looking for, man candy, or I'm looking for, seduction emotion. Or emotion, or right. Cause I just pulled up this, you got one that's okay. This is actually not, this is not going to air tomorrow. It's probably not going to air till next week because editing. But when we're recording this, you have a book cover that's coming out tomorrow, which is Masquerade by Aria Wyatt.
Okay.
And let me see if I can get it to come up on here a little bit better. And that's this one.
Yes.
And again, for me, when I look at this cover, the first time she posted it, I was like, damn, because it's an emotional cover. It has a lot of depth to it. And I think that to me, I don't know. Do you know who the photographer was?
Christopher John.
Do you remember?
I don't remember.
We're gonna have to find out.
I'll ask Aria.
Yeah, we'll ask Aria. We'll find out. But again, it has a different vibe than some of the other covers, just because what you're looking for. So I'm going back to Katherine, because now I'm going to throw it back with you with a question of, when you're looking for a cover, we know that there's the vibe. We know that with Dan, it was like, Dan is Brennan. There is that image, that emotion in that image, and you were like, this is the character. When you're looking for other covers, because I've seen all the ones that you've done so far, and when you're looking for covers, what do you go through? What's your process as an author when you're looking for the right cover?
Well, in this instance, it was that I did have these exclusive photos. I have, this will have 3 of Dan's and 1 of Aiden, who also shoots with Jean. And it was more that because the photo of Dan and the photo of Aiden were both sort of like, he's kind of outside, you know, and the other one, he's like sort of in this field, and the lighting, because I don't know, I have no idea when y'all shot any of these photos, but I feel like it might have been the same, like, because it's probably where Jean lives when y'all do these photo shoots. It's normally in Oregon or something, right? She's in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
And so with this one, it was that the style of the exclusive photos were all the same and already worked together. And so choosing the covers for the books that I didn't have like photos for, it was more just an aesthetic choice. Like the model had to like fit the character, but it also had to be like an outdoor setting. Like the lighting has to be just right, that like you can't, you know, the quality of the photo has to match, like, you know, this like high quality exclusive photo, you know, it has to be up to par, and the lighting has to complement it the right way, in a way that you can't tweak it with Photoshop or anything like that. But so normally it's like you kind of get a vibe and a feeling, and then you have to like think how that's going to like market to your specific genre. Like when we were doing these, it was, I wanted to have like a script, like handwritten thing, and she was like, no, that's not, that's more this instead of what you're going for. And so like things like that, you'll normally like choose the first cover and then like decide, like that'll be your template for all of them.
I love that. So you look for a theme, you build on that theme, and you continue to carry through, because it's a series. So you don't want to jump all over the place when you're doing a series. You want to have consistency, which is really important. So working with the same photographer can help, looking for that same background. Okay, what part of the process do you love the most? What part of the process do you hate the most when you're looking for covers, when you're designing a cover?
Well, you know, there's like, I've seen like 5,000 pictures of Dan, and you guys, like, he just makes this job really difficult.
I would imagine the hardest part would be, you know, looking through all of those photos.
I know, it's so hard, you guys. Like,
it's like me scrolling through Instagram. It's so difficult to just, you know, look at all of these amazing photos. You have to. Julie just pulled up the first 3 of. Oh yeah, that's the NOLA series.
Now, in the Norland series, is he your only exclusive?
Him and the one that's about to come out whenever I can decide, it can decide that it wants to be finished. And I can't, it will be 2 more featuring Dan. I can't like say, like, I don't want to say it because it's like, you know, spoiler town straight ahead. But Dan will be on 2 additional photos.
I'm here for that. All right. I'm here for that. Did you want to turn that around on the camera? Just to, so that's the 3 so far in NOLA.
There they are.
And they blend beautifully. I mean, it's hard. I know it's hard to see because, you know, it's a screen on a screen. But thematically, they do look really beautiful. So what's the hardest thing for you when you're looking for covers and when you're designing a cover? What's the most difficult part of the process for you, Katherine?
Honestly,
Are you laughing because I keep saying hard?
I was laughing because I was gonna be like, I was about to be a smart ass and say, which picture of Dan do you love the most?
Be a smart ass. Go for
Eliminating
it.
pictures of Dan.
Dan, don't you know that I have a file folder for, you know, my character inspiration? You're on my Pinterest board. So they don't ever go away forever. It just, I see them. They're for me. Because Jean loves me and she lets me see all of them. So.
Well, muse boards are important. And, you know, when you have somebody who's a solid muse for something, I know a lot of authors that I work with, they have muse boards. And even when I'm editing, I'm like, okay, I need your muse board. I need to know what your inspiration board is. I need to know what the vibe is for this character. So when I'm reading through it and I'm like, oh, this is really out of tone, I need something that I can look back at and say, okay, this is where we're supposed to be going. Sometimes it's progression and sometimes it's static, but it's there.
On my desktop, I have the progression of photos because, like, even though this one will not be used, you can see the progression of like, this was the caricature of this character. And he like developed into this guy who is like more, he's contemplative. He's like, there's, you know, that like feeling that he's having in the book that we're not going to talk about, you know, there's just this thing. And then the next one is a much more rough, like rugged, it's an intense photo. It's another one where I was like, oh my God, something horrible happened to him. And so I was like, well, I have to have it. And then
I love that.
And you know, we won't tell anyone.
No.
You can go ahead and show us the image. You can tell us all the spoilers.
I can't. I'll text it to him and I'll be like, it's this photo where like I truly like fell in love with all of this from the depths of my heart, because I believe it is the young lady that you were talking about, Emily.
Brunette.
Brunette.
Yeah, it's probably her.
And
yeah,
so
me and her. We vibe so well.
This photo is so beautiful that it breaks my heart. Like, you know, it is so, because, and I say that because I know what is like coming, and it is so beautiful that like it hurts my heart a little. But it's one of those things where like, you know, the perfect energy and like dynamics were happening, and something incredible happened from art that just continues to make great things happen.
We're looking at photos here. We're listening to, trust me, because Julie's like the research. She's got all the stuff. She knows where to look for all the things. I just randomly Google until something pops up and I'm like, oh, there it is, which is how I spend, you know, 3 hours. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Oh, I went down the Google rabbit hole. Okay. But
I have looked for so many pictures of him.
I know. Yeah. So this was I think the first cover actually that I ever saw you on, which, oh, come on, phone.
I want to shot was golden.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's, and then when you look at the series, it really does blend, like we were talking about themes, for somebody to hold. And then what was the last one? Cherish. Right?
It's my favorite.
I like this one too. This is one of my favorites also. I think it is too.
It shows that evolution, like you were saying, where they were emotional, like tense. She's the word girl. I am not.
You want? Yeah. Don't say my nickname.
Then I call her my fluffer.
The first time she said that, I was like, "Oh, Julie." So now we have to put. I'm the word fluffer, because otherwise the hubster gets a little bit confused. That's the last one. So you see the progression of them, and that's Jean. Yep. But okay. So
you can see the evolution, because Tyler, the character in that book, went from I don't know who I am to, light and free and happy, content.
Yeah, content, but still a little intense.
Oh,
He's a really intense character. So
I get that, what she
yeah,
was saying.
exactly. Yeah, and I see that a lot with Brent, because I've read Brennan's book, I think 3 times now, because it's my favorite in the series. Okay, that Luke's my favorite, but book-wise, Brennan's book is emotionally deep. So I really enjoy that. So I've been through it a couple of times, but it has that depth to it. And I see where you say you take the art, you take the picture, you pull the emotion from it, you put it into words, and then it's this pulling together of the visual and the words. And then in the reader brain, it's like, okay, it gels. So it's kind of a it's a neat experience. What are you pulling up there?
Oh, I'm just
looking at more photos from Jean. Oh, that one. Yep.
That's good. But that's bringing a lot of
emotion. Mm-hmm.
We need to stop because I'll get on a little tangent.
I know the emotions, and it's, oh my gosh, it's 7:50. Okay, so was there anything else? I know we talked about a lot of stuff. Katherine, what else do you want us to know? People who are listening, people who are watching, what else do you want people to know about the process, your friendship relationship with Dan as a cover model, as a friend, as an influencer out there? What do you want folks to know about the process from your side?
From my side, it's just like having the privilege of being connected to like him and his people, Jean and Zach, and like these are amazing people. And it's a privilege because like he is a fantastic human being. And like, I am personally inspired, and it's a privilege to like say he's one of mine. Like, thank you, for all of the things that you do.
I love that. Dan?
Yes, ma'am.
Any last thoughts? Anything else you want to know about the relationship that you build with authors that you work with, the friendship with Katherine, how this has all come about, what it does, what it means to you, and all the things?
It just means a lot that I can inspire some people. Like I said, I didn't realize how much it meant to Katherine until tonight. I knew that it was important, but I didn't realize how impactful it was on how she wrote and what she wrote and the impact that it made. And it means a lot. So
I love that. Something new. See, we pull out all the emotions. And thank you, both of you, so much for coming on with us. This is something new we're trying with having people come on as guests. Normally it's either me rambling for 35 minutes or so, or it's me and Julie and 2 others. We call ourselves the Stalker Sisters, because we get on Instagram and we're like, oh, I want to learn more about that author, or more about that cover model, or more about that photographer. And we just kind of find all the places to follow. So having guests on has been something new and unique and fun and interesting, and getting the information out there to people about how this works. And it was a learning experience for me, because there's a lot that you both talked about in the process that you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. You probably knew a lot more of this than I did. So maybe. But thank you both so much for spending some time with us, for talking with us about what the experience is like, finding that perfect cover. And I know, Dan, like I said, you've got a cover coming out. So congratulations on that new cover for Masquerade. And 2 come out from Katherine. Julie.
Yeah, I was going to say, Katherine, I know your book is being, I don't know, cantankerous. So do you have an estimated date of release for your next book?
I mean, it's going to be done when it's done, and I feel like it's shooting for sometime before the end of the year.
Okay.
I'll take that.
That's good. We like that.
Dan, do you have any other events or anything coming up that you want to promote? Any other books that you know of that you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, on that note, so if you do have events, do you normally, I think you posted when you were doing TNT, you posted that you were going to be there.
Yeah, normally I
Um,
post some stuff.
okay.
I'm supposed to be going to one in April, I think, and then I'll be back at TNT next year. I'm pretty sure Janine's going to make me come every year. So darn.
How about Baltimore in 2024?
Sure.
You guys
Megan?
want to take me? I'll be there.
Baltimore in 2024. We have actually our first event coming up next year in March in Baltimore. But I think we're looking at 2024 having some photographers and some cover models, and hopefully Katherine will be able to join us. And I'm working on getting her out there because I know it's a hike. You're coming from a long distance, but and I know, Dan, you said you have a trip coming up to DC, family trip. So that's my neck of the woods. Enjoy your time there. Enjoy the time with the kids, and we've got holidays coming up. So whatever you celebrate, if you celebrate, have a good holiday. And thank you guys so much for coming on with us tonight. Really, really, really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks,
Thank you guys.
guys.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.